Oh, well hello there. It's me, I'm Nobody. And today I want to talk about one of the most arguably worst trends that has plagued the Souls series ever since the multiplayer allowed cooperation. The dreaded Gank Squad. How did this happen exactly? What is ganking? And most importantly, why is ganking? How did ganking start? To tell the truth, I really do not have the slightest clue, but I like to imagine it started with a simple invasion. It's probably, and is most likely, that this unholy practice started because someone got their pride knocked down a few pegs by a highly skilled invader.
How dare
So the
you!
evil host decided that he would get a few friends together and grief every invader that is unlucky enough to get spawned into their world. Because of course you know, every bad red man is the same scum of the earth that pooped all over the host's ego. Okay. That's probably not what happened. And I know I can be a little sympathetic toward invaders, because I, like a lot of other people, happen to love invading. So you see, I can relate to them just a little bit. And I do understand that there are very toxic players on both sides. And the likely cause of ganking is probably more likely that a host and his or her buddies were enjoying some jolly cooperation. Sunbro helping sunbros. Oh? What's a sunbro, you ask? Well, you see, back in the good old days, where PvP was more balanced, more respected, and players had a sense of honor toward each other, there was a thing called covenants. A group or faction you could join to earn tokens that you could then spend or turn in to gain access to unique spells and weapons associated with that covenant, of course. And one of those covenants were called the Warriors of Sunlight. They were mostly associated with being summoned to help other players with troublesome bosses, but I'm not going to get into all that. Or why we desperately need them in Elden Ring today. Big Daddy Miyazaki said no, so Elden Ring's PvP is just going to have to suffer until something better comes along. Well, that's pretty much it for the intro. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because it's free and it really helps me out. And I really do appreciate all the support. Let's go talk about ganking. Okay, bye. But back to the point. Ganking is probably the result of a host and his sunbros enjoying some jolly cooperation, wiping everything out that gets in their way. They have dealt with invaders before, so they were not surprised when the bad red man showed up. So as they charge forward with ultra great swords in hand and the mages ready to spam spells like nobody's business, and they bombard the poor red man so hard that he just gets stun locked and really just can't escape the wrath of the blender. As the invader's health dropped into an unescapable black hole and the character's body went into the death animation, the jolly cooperators rejoiced in victory, with vigorous point downs and righteously thrown poop pots. And it was probably at this point one of them had the diabolical idea to lure more bad red man into the area with all the mobs gone, to reenact this evil practice. And that, my wonderful audience, is how the first Gank Squad came into existence. Well, probably. Okay, I know. That's a pretty big probably. And we may never know why the Gank Squad was born or why it's still popular today. But the biggest question that is on my mind is ganking fun? I mean, why else would people do it so much if it wasn't fun, right? To understand if ganking is fun, we have to know what ganking is exactly. The definition is different from player to player, but I think there is one that we all can agree on. A Gank Squad in a Souls game is a host and one or more cooperators that picks a enemy-free area of the game, or a area that they have previously already cleared out. Then they use the taunter's tongue, or whatever game's version of the Taunter's Tongue is, to lure in invaders for no other reason but to gang up on the bad red man and delete them as fast as possible. Basically stacking all the odds in their favor and giving little to no odds for the invader to survive. Diabolical and disgusting. Trust me, I know. I really do. Is it impossible to beat a gank squad? No. It is very possible with enough skill and just a little bit of luck, but it is still not an easy challenge. And chances are most invaders will probably get deleted by the hands of those scoundrels. But like I asked before, is ganking fun? I believe the answer is yes and no. Come on now, nobody. You not making any sense. LOLs. Don't worry. Don't you worry your beautiful little minds one bit. I'll explain everything. Depending on how skilled you are and who you are ganking with and what skill level the person getting ganked is, I can see how ganking in moderation can be fun. For me, I hardly ever gank. I'm usually the one invading. And ganking is fun, but not for long periods of time. If I do gank, and that's a big if, but if I do, I start to feel bad after a while. Because it isn't, let's face it, it's not much of a challenge ganging up on one player. I'm not the best by no means, but I like to think I am a little skilled in PvP, and fighting multiple opponents is the challenge I am used to. There are a handful of players out there who can and are known for killing gank squads on a regular basis. But in order for them to do that, they have to make the fights long and drawn out. In my experience, long and drawn out fights are not very fun for either side. And win or lose, you just kind of feel exhausted afterwards. But that's how invaders have to fight against ganks these days. Because the weapons and spells hit so hard and the overleveled summons never get scaled down correctly. I'm not even going to mention how broken bleed can be. But the player limit and option to turn the Taunter's Tongue off really gives the invaders no other choice when fighting against ganks. They have to draw the fights out and wait for openings to punish their opponents. Now doing all that on the invader side just isn't fun for me. And trying to chase down a slippery invader that is slowly killing your entire group isn't fun either. So I dare to ask, again, is ganking fun? Under the right circumstances, yes. But under the wrong circumstances, hell no. So, in a nutshell, yes and no. I don't like ganking, and I definitely do not like to be ganked. And I don't think it's right to gang up on an invader unless you are actually playing through the game and you know you don't have the skill to take them on alone. But hey, here's a pro tip for all you bad red man out there who doesn't like fighting ganks or bonfire duelists. My tip is to pick your battles. Play by your own rules, not theirs. Don't hesitate to finger server out of that world if you don't like the area or the vibe your opponents are giving off. Some people can be quite shady. Myself, I refuse to fight at the first step or at the lakes. If you're going to gank, at least pick a better location. Something pretty, like anywhere in the DLC. If I'm going to get ganked, it's going to be somewhere that looks nice. I have just seen the lakes one too many times. And the first step is just as dull and not very cinematic if you're making videos for others to watch. Back in Dark Souls 3, ganking was a lot of fun. Because the player limit was so high, it would be you and your buddies going up against a non-stop army of invaders and Aldrich the Faithfuls. Aldrich the Faithfuls being a covenant who protected that area and was charged with killing the host. And if you use the dried fingers, Dark Souls 3 version of the Taunter's Tongue, it would not deactivate until the host was killed. But in Elden Ring, it's a whole different story. Instead of gank versus a gank of invaders, it has been reduced to a 4-player limit, so now it's a gank versus 1 invader at a time, if the host has 2 summons. But it can still be pretty fun if it's a 2 versus 2 scenario. But like I said, there are toxic players on both sides. You do have players who loves griefing the invader and giving them little to no chance to win. And you do have invaders out there who just wants to ruin the host playthrough, whether it's a challenge or not to do so. And some hosts have been known to lure in invaders and disable the taunter's tongue so the invader will not get a co-invader. So basically an unending 2 versus 1. So, in conclusion, is ganking fun? Yes and no. LOLs. Elden Ring's PvP system is so messed up that we have to play by our own rules and have our own code of honor. That makes the game fun for us. If PvP didn't matter, then why would people be preaching about all of its flaws? And why would people make mods for seamless co-op and seamless invasions? Doing what FromSoft didn't do. For everyone playing on console, we don't have this option, and all we can do is hope and pray that the next big game has all of what we need to keep playing and having fun while we wait for the next one to pop out. PvP is a big part of what keeps players on the hook and keeps them on the servers. You would think that the creators would do all they could to prolong the longevity of the game to keep players playing and keep new players coming in. But when all is said and done, we as the players have to make our own rules and play the way that gives us the most fun and satisfaction of our experience. So it doesn't matter if you're ganking or invading. Pick your battles and have fun in your own way. Remember that your opponents are people just trying to have fun just like you and enjoy this great game. So have fun and just try not to be a dick. Well, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to preach about today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And until next time, have fun, my dudes. Okay, bye.
Did you enjoy this video? Consider subscribing to the main channel at Mr. Nobody Elden Souls where it's more focused on invading. Or the second channel at Nobody Elden Things where its focus is on helping and will be the main hub for invading for dummies. Subscribe to both and I promise you will not be disappointed. Thank you for watching, my tarnished, and we will see you next time.
Like and subscribe or I'll deathblight you in your sleep. This message has been approved by the mayor of Froggytown.